Hello, welcome back to James Rambling Reviews for yet another episode. And in today's episode, I'm actually going to be reviewing for you Speak No Evil. Now, before we get into this review, this may actually be one of my kind of different types of reviews, because I'm going to actually kind of compare the original Speak No Evil from 2022 to the 2024 edition that I saw earlier this week, and I've been giving myself time to actually process both movies. I watched the original last night because I was thinking to myself, you know, in order to review something a little bit better, I need a bit more context for the original movie, just to see how things played out differently compared to the American remake. And so there's definitely that, and so I'm not going to spoil everything about both movies, but what I will do in this video is that I will actually talk about the remake, and then I'll draw comparisons kind of thing. But I'm not going to spoil any of it, because you should definitely go into these movies for yourself, because if you know what's going to happen in these movies, you're just going to be annoyed at, you know, the fact that you see something coming and it's like, oh, I already know what's coming because I heard so much stuff about it online. Sure, there'll be people who will spoil the heck out of that, and that is your choice to watch those types of videos if you want to, but this is not the type of video you're going to be watching today. So there's that. And I'll give you a rating out of 10 and stuff like that. So I'll be very light on the plot for these movies. So pretty much what Speak No Evil is, the 2022 and the 2024 version is, you've got like a group, these two families with these like different ideologies and perspectives going on this holiday, and then the guest or the visitors, right? There's the visitors, right? And then there's actually the hosts who you know, they bring them into the house and all like that. They are the person that is the reason behind a lot of the chaos that happens in both movies, and that is pretty much where it's going to end there. Like, that is the most vague thing ever. Like, I've given away a little bit of the plot, but not too much, because I'm not revealing every single thing. So just so you know, the original Danish movie is an hour and a half, and the American remake with James McAvoy in it is actually close to 2 hours long. And so how do I feel about the American remake with James McAvoy in it? So what I will say is that I watched this movie a few days ago, right, Monday or whatever. It was a bank holiday kind of thing. Went to like a matinee screening with my mum. So we went there and we watched the movie, and I've got to say that I do enjoy this movie. However, it is insanely flawed to the point where the more time it has passed, it's like I feel like James McAvoy is probably the only interesting part of the entire movie, because yes, it does build a lot of tension and stuff like that, and there's a lot of like dark comedy where they would tell a lot of these jokes to throw you off from what's going on, all the crazy stuff, so you're not too scared. But there's just points where these characters are just interacting with each other, and it's just like they're just talking for ages on end, and it's like, is this going to go anywhere? They're just rambling about life to each other. Where is this going to go? And then the final act of Speak No Evil 2024 with the James McAvoy one, it's like, it is crazy action insanity going on, and that's where I'll leave that. And so what I will say is that James McAvoy, like I said, has a really good acting performance, because he's able to encapsulate this really, really crazy psychopath nutcase kind of guy, and so he encapsulates that a lot, because he really gets into the role and you can actually understand why he's acting the way he does. But there are points where I feel like this movie could have been cut out. Like, there is points where the movie could have been an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes, because the final act is like, it just keeps going on and on and on to the point where you're like, okay, we know how crazy this is. It just keeps going and it keeps going and it keeps going, and a lot of the characters make the same mistakes where one character falls off a part of this building, there's another character falls off. It's like, what is going on? And I'm not going to explain why, just to avoid spoilers, but there's just a lot of stuff like that where it's a lot of plot holes, a lot of stuff where you have to suspend your own disbelief to the point where, because this movie is fiction, you kind of have to be like, oh yeah, of course there's going to be these convenient situations where they're doing oopsie because it's a thriller movie, oh we have to be a bit crazy and a bit eccentric, but it's like, I'm trying to get immersed in the story, but they're just making too much like mistakes, and it's a bit weird. So that when you get to the Danish remake, it's such a contrast to the point where I actually feel like that the Danish version is executed so much more perfectly and a bit more interestingly, because yes, you do have the character dialogue interactions, but they play it so seriously, and they do not play it like as if it's a joke, and it's like, yeah, this is silly, all that kind of stuff. Like, they actually play it to the point where you can feel the tension rising, to the point where this movie, the Speak No Evil from 2022, is so much more well paced. It's only 90 minutes long, and yeah, there's a point where the movie doesn't fly by, but it's a lot more well paced, because you can feel like, oh yeah, it's gonna build to something's gonna happen, and the movie is so much more horrific, and there's a lot more darker like sounding music. Because for example, there's actually points where the characters in the Speak No Evil 2024, it's like they're just singing songs on the radio. It's like, is that actually that scary, or are we just watching a cheesy like typical family get together movie here? What is going on, kind of thing? So there's definitely that. Like, this is probably the best way in which I can describe these movies. So I would give Speak No Evil from this year, when I saw it like a few days ago, I give that a solid 7 out of 10, and I would give Speak No Evil from 2022 a lot more of a 9 out of 10, because the way it executes the ideas is a lot more interesting, and obviously like it's a Scandinavian movie. A lot of Scandinavian, like there's like that type of culture where they have such a passion for their own culture, so they really make sure that leaves a giant impact. And I actually watched this movie, I actually finished Speak No Evil 2022 like just before I went to bed, and somehow I actually slept well. I don't know how I did that. So yeah, that is my review of both movies, and that was the best kind of like non-spoiler discussion I could ever do for this. So if you enjoyed this review, let me know if you were interested to see how it all turns out, and if I did a good job to the point where I actually convinced you to watch both movies or just watch Speak No Evil from 2022, then I've done a very good job here. But if you are just not interested at this at all, why even watching this video? So yeah, hope you enjoyed this review, and stay tuned for more like it. I am planning to do a few more videos. I'm still planning to do videos about movies and stuff like that. So yeah, bye. Just remember, I was not really speaking that much evil language. I wasn't swearing or anything like that. Bye.